A ghost of a boy with a noose in his hands and the mysterious number 13. Where did the mystical force that's attacking an entire village come from? Don't miss out one of the most enigmatic investigations by the psychics. Welcome to Psychic Investigations, a project of exclusively true and impressive story. People who call themselves clairvoyants investigate tangled criminal cases and unbelievable paranormal phenomena. Iryna Lipanina, a young Ukrainian woman from a small village, has reached out to the psychics for help. She claims that her own house is trying to kill her and her family.
I feel something pressing down on me and wake up in terror. The feeling is like something tries to crush me, and I can't move or breathe.
Iryna's mother, Valentina, is also afraid of the house.
I was being crushed. It's like something turns and then bam, it falls on you, and you're completely paralyzed.
Whenever I'm alone here, it feels like something or someone walks behind me. Something invisible rustles somewhere or knocks on the window.
But Iryna is most afraid for her little daughter, Eva. The girl is constantly nervous and terrified in the house.
One day, Eva started backing away, crying and saying, "No." I asked her, "Eva, what is it?" And she said, "There's a man," and started crying, scared.
Once upon a time, a large family lived in this house. Iryna, her elder brother and sister, and her parents, Valentina and Roman. Since then, their home has burned down almost entirely 3 times.
When it happened the first time, they extinguished it, but the second time it burned to ashes.
After the last fire, they didn't even have the house renovated, as it's very frightening to be there.
It feels like there is something in there. I'm afraid to be in the house alone.
The family had to move out. Valentina and her husband live in a temporary building next to the ill-fated house. Their elder daughter and son live separately, and their youngest, Iryna, rents an apartment in a nearby town, where she lives with her daughter.
I'd really like to find out once and for all what's wrong with our house.
Our project experts, Kayal Alekperov and Sofia Litvinova, take up the investigation.
I had a strange dream. I saw a little boy near a coffin. He reached out to me as if asking for help. Then a noose appeared in his hands, and 13 figures stood nearby. They were spirits, and it felt like the child was drawing them to him. Then I saw a little girl. Behind her stood a dark figure in a black hood, staring at the child with cold eyes. It was death, and it seemed to want to embrace the little one with its bony hands.
I see the number 13. It's a dozen from the devil. We're dealing with something demonic here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
We're so glad you arrived. We really need your help.
The little girl from my dream appeared in front of me. She was Iryna's daughter. Let's go. I'd like to talk to this little angel.
Sofia Litvinova decided to work in the mystical house. Meanwhile, Kayal Alekperov quickly found common ground with little Eva.
The girl is severely ill. It seems like this disease is very rare, something related to the heart.
She was born prematurely. She had multiple rhabdomyomas in her heart.
A rhabdomyoma is a benign tumor that primarily affects muscles and joints, especially in children. Rhabdomyomas of the heart often lead to death.
We need to save the child. I sense a dark force here.
My God, it's awful. It feels like the roof is about to collapse. Someone's presence is pressing down. This house is teeming with supernatural phenomena. Disgruntled spirits are at work here, but I couldn't figure out what they were after. I'd like to work with my tools now. It won't even stand. It's not working.
The door fell. It's been standing for about 4 months.
These are signs.
We need you to get the child out of here. It's very dangerous. The spirits of the dead gathered around us, trying to interfere. Among them was a small boy holding a noose. But whenever I tried to establish contact with that spirit, it immediately slipped away, as if playing with me. At that moment, I felt a spirit appear near us, but it didn't show itself to us. I could only feel its bad energy. It seemed like it wanted to attack us.
I can't... Oh!
Please bring something Sophia can sit down on.
The spirit is over there. It's a young woman, not plump, but rather delicate in her youth. And a lightning is shining on her.
My husband's previous wife was killed by electricity. It happened after the rain.
Valentina recognized her second husband, Roman's ex-wife, by Sophia's description. The woman died 15 years ago from an electric shock. A wire above her house broke and fell into the yard. The poor woman stepped on it and died from severe burns. The husband was left a widower and later married Valentina.
Her spirit is here to ask what you did to the two girls.
They refused to live with their dad.
It turned out the man had 2 daughters from his first marriage. Valentina took the girls to live with them, but the relationship between Roman's daughters and their stepmother soured, and so the girls flatly refused to listen to their father's new wife.
The thing is, the spirit of this young woman, who... She's standing right here. She claims you mistreated her children. You yelled at them. Why?
They didn't listen to me and didn't wash the dishes or clean the house, so I yelled when I came home from work.
No matter how hard Valentina tried to find common ground with her husband's daughters, it didn't work out. So, eventually, the family of Roman's deceased wife took care of the girls, but later they ended up in an orphanage.
The woman's spirit is outraged that her children were mistreated and deprived of love, affection, and attention. I saw her standing behind Valentina, wagging her finger at her.
Is it really the spirit of the mother taking revenge on Valentina and all the house residents for not raising her children properly? To understand what's happening, Kayal Alekperov decided to perform a ritual.
I want this fabric to absorb Valentina's energy. This will help us understand why the spirits won't leave you alone. Look, there's number 13 here.
The devil's dozen.
The number 13 does indeed stand out on the fabric, but what does it all mean?
I see the spirit of a man of around 60 years old standing by the road and calling me. He says he will tell me everything.
I feel that being called from this house to another house. It's like the spirits are collecting their dues. The entire village, first something happens in one house, then it moves to another house and then another. We need to turn this way.
After talking to the locals, we were shocked. It turns out that horrors indeed occurred not only in the Lipanin family's house, the whole village was suffering.
Yes, I heard a click in the middle of the night, and the light turned on. First, we thought it was the wiring, but then we realized it clicked and turned on by itself.
I turned off the light and lay down.
but it felt like someone was walking around the house.
I'm being drawn here. Kayal! Over here.
In search of the mystical force, which, as it turned out, troubled the entire village, the psychics enter a house.
The man's spirit was calling us. I saw him enter this house.
Hello. We are psychics conducting an investigation. Kayal and Sophia.
Svetlana.
A spirit brought us here to your house. He entered it.
Literally 2 hours ago, I heard a loud noise and thought someone was walking around.
Svetlana and her daughter Yana say that mystical occurrences happen so often in their house that they have almost gotten used to them.
Yes, we hear rustling, banging, and then something like voices. Women's and men's, coming from the attic.
It feels like there's a wheelchair in this house. The energy is infused with medication.
My daughter was born with a disability, and so did my granddaughter.
The owner of the house doesn't lament her misfortune in front of the cameras. Her daughter has cerebral palsy. Despite her illness, she dreamed of having a child. Doctors advised against giving birth, but Yana heard of cases when people with her diagnosis had healthy children. Unfortunately, her daughter was also born sick.
I feel some forces here. I hear a voice saying, "You shouldn't have come here." I'd like to check the whole household. We need to split.
I sense the same thing as at the previous house. The same creaking, banging, moving, and falling.
We had a mirror hanging here. And once Yana came into the house and saw a man
In a raincoat.
Yes, and then he all of a sudden disappeared in the mirror.
It all sounds like a scene from a mystical horror movie. But why are the villagers haunted by these eerie, mysterious shadows?
After that, you took the mirror down, didn't you?
Yes, we did. Now, I don't hang any mirrors here because I'm scared.
The card of evil spirits, and I keep seeing the number 13, the devil's dozen.
This is terrifying. As soon as Sofia Litvinova took out the cards, the socket short-circuited. We checked to see if there was a fire, but luckily there wasn't. But what does it all mean? Meanwhile, Kayal Alekperov works in another part of the house. The man who lived here moved out of the village a few years ago, so now the place is empty. Incredibly, after the psychic's prayer, the window frame simply fell by itself, for no reason. How is that possible? It had been standing here still for years.
Kayal!
You know, while I was working, I saw the spirit of a man. He told me he died here. The spirit was the late husband of Svetlana, the owner of the house.
Svetlana's husband, Vyacheslav, worked in a horse theater. He performed various tricks on horseback and never complained about his health, but he unexpectedly died from a heart attack.
This is his favorite horse. His name's Mustang.
I felt the man's death was related to the number 13.
Indeed, Svetlana's husband died on August 13th.
Everyone here has the same problems. A mystical force is breathing down the necks of nearly every villager. And it's especially frightening that children are suffering. I felt there are many children here with severe, incurable illnesses.
The psychic's words make your hair stand on end. Is everyone born in this village doomed to suffer? But why?
At that moment, I heard a faint whisper around us growing into a hum. And I heard someone's thoughts. They were many people's thoughts. And those people were somewhere nearby, waiting for help. I decided to leave the yard, and I was right.
The villagers learned that the psychics had arrived and gathered near Svetlana's house. All these people are afraid to live in their own homes.
Let me conduct a ritual. I'm going to ask for help from higher powers. Excuse me, could you please come over? What's your name?
Tatiana, my house is crushing me too. I'm sick, and my son is sick. We're unwell all the time.
It feels like something wanders in your house.
The spirits come into the houses and try to suffocate the owners. They're driving them out.
Once, my husband and I were sleeping, and at midnight, the guitar started playing. Our hair stood on end. Nobody's lived in that room ever since.
People complain they simply can't live in their village. But why is this happening? And how can this horror be stopped?
Last night, I had a dream. I dreamed of a little boy. Behind him stood 13 human figures. They all had some strange marks on their necks, like from hanging. I think the cause of everything happening in this village is 13 hangmen.
This is incredible. But the locals say that many people here really committed suicide.
There on Sadova Street, we're right beyond our street. Many people really hang themselves.
A man hanged himself at the farm. Then our neighbors did the same. Many locals did it.
An elderly woman hanged there.
When we counted the number of hanged people in the village, we were shocked. There were exactly 13 of them.
Then Sophia and I understood that the number 13 was indeed the devil's dozen. In such numbers, devilish forces manifest themselves. The whole village constantly suffered from the intervention of mystical forces.
At that moment, a force called me, and it pulled me to the crossroads. This crossroads is the epicenter, the vortex.
A little boy died in this village. He drowned. He is the child spirit who appeared in my dream before the investigation. In my dream, the boy was holding a noose and was somehow pulling all those suicides who hanged themselves to the other world.
The thing is, the boy was running, and the pipe burst here. They dug it up with a tractor and forgot to cover it. And so water filled the hole, and he fell there.
Many years ago, a young family lived here. A man, his wife, and their 2 small children, a 3-year-old girl and her brother, 2 years older than her.
I remember little Sasha. He was a bit older than my son. He was a very sociable boy.
Like most villagers, little Sasha's parents were busy with household chores, and their children were playing together outside.
He drowned, and his sister stood nearby. I have no idea how she didn't fall in the hole.
He slipped and fell.
I feel nobody visits the boy's grave.
The locals say the boy's parents were devastated by the tragedy. His father turned to drinking and eventually drank himself to death, and his mother mourned for a long time at the cemetery.
Once, at the cemetery, the woman saw the spirit of her son. The boy wanted to comfort his mom, but she got scared.
The people say that one day, the woman went to her son's grave and saw some kind of apparition. She was so frightened by what she saw that she decided to flee the village. She left, taking her little daughter with her. So now, no one visits the boy's grave.
The boy's spirit didn't hold any grudge against his parents, but abandoned by everyone, he wanted to draw attention to himself. He would come into people's homes so they would visit his grave. The most vulnerable to supernatural forces are small children and those thinking about suicide. That's why the boy's spirit attracted death and severe illnesses to them. New deaths kept happening, and people more and more frequently visited the cemetery where he was buried. I want to ask each of you to pray for this child in your own way. Also, it's necessary to invite a priest to the boy's grave so that his spirit can find peace and leave this world. Let's go. Show me where the boy died.
Over here, beyond the vehicle, was the hole.
That lonely tree, right?
Let me pray so that this spirit never comes here with bad intentions again.
And I will pray that there is peace in every house and that your children are healthy.
Valentina, I think your daughter will be fine after this. I'd also like to ask the locals to put a cross on the boy's grave and plant flowers. The little boy is not evil at all. After all, children are never evil. From now on, everything is going to be all right.
Thank you for coming to us, figuring this out, and helping us.
If this story impressed you, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more incredible psychic investigations by the psychics. The wages of sin. Why is a ghost trying to take away a little boy? Don't miss out. The psychics will reveal the shocking truth about a child's murder. The Ukrainian family of the Kucherenkos asked the psychics for help. The young parents of two go to bed and wake up, fearing their elder son Ilya could die. Bad injuries and bone fractures, electric shock, and even road accidents are only a part of what the 6-year-old boy has been through recently.
There's a real threat to our son. It's a matter of life and death.
The parents are sure that the misfortunes that keep happening to Ilya are not accidents. 17 years ago, Yuri was warned he could lose his son.
I bought a motorcycle, and when I was riding it, its brakes failed and I crashed into a tractor.
The man suffered a horrible head injury and slipped into a coma for 9 days. He says he recalls the moment of the collision, and then he felt like falling into a black tunnel, from which he merged into a strange place.
I saw a large golden gate, and there was a man holding a book next to it. "No, it's too early for you to be here. You haven't fulfilled your mission yet," he said.
And then Yuri felt a shove and found himself in the black tunnel again. Behind him, he heard the voice of the man with the book, who told him to save his son from death. The next moment, Yuri opened his eyes to see he was in the hospital. Back then, Yuri didn't suspect he would indeed have a son. But since Ilya was born, his young parents have never left him alone for a second.
I literally watch over him all the time.
But the incidents happen in front of the parents so fast that they simply have no time to react. Besides, the boy's mother once had a dream in which she murdered her elder son.
Suddenly, something like a dog collar appeared in my hands out of nowhere. And I put collar on my son's neck, and it started tightening his neck more and more. And he chalked in my dream.
The terrified woman woke up in a cold sweat and heard her son scream.
He was screaming, trying to breathe in, but he couldn't do it.
The boy had a peculiar choke attack. His parents called an ambulance. The doctors said Ilya had stenosis. It's an abnormal narrowing of the larynx that can result in asphyxia. However, the medics failed to find the reason for the attack in the sleeping boy. But the last straw that urged the parents to ask us for help was the bizarre visions Ilya started seeing at home.
He said, "Mom, I saw a ghost. It was all white and scary."
I want the psychics to help us sort it out.
The most powerful experts of our project, Olena Kurilova and Kayal Alekperov, take up the investigation. I had a dream last night. In it, I saw a boy of about 12. His arms here covered in cuts. He'd been murdered. He told me, I tried to stop her, but it was too late.
I'm having a vision of a woman standing next to a fire.
A fire?
Yes, and she's naked. It looks like some kind of ritual. I hear her shout out in front of the fire, "Give me power. I'll destroy each one of those boys."
Who could she mean? Anastasia and Yuri's sons?
I don't know.
A ball. There's an awful story related to a ball, and we must find the answer.
Hello?
Hello?
We fear for our son.
The cards are telling me there's a spirit bound to you and your family. And a woman bound it.
One of you knows her personally, but I failed to understand who she is, where to find her, and how the parents could save their son. Yuri, you mentioned the words of your mission you heard while you were in a coma.
Yes. You haven't fulfilled your mission yet.
My book says that your mission is connected to a murder.
Were you in a coma too?
Yes. When I was 4, a police car hit me, and I spent 9 days in a coma. Mom was at work, Dad was fixing the bike in the backyard, and I sneaked out of the house and ran across the road to see my friends. This was when I was hit by the car. I had a cranios, cerebral injury, and a broken leg. I don't know how my parents took it all.
A falling tower, a happy family. Wealth, it was all gone.
Yes.
Your healing required a lot of money.
I needed money for the meds, which we naturally didn't have, and so my parents had to borrow.
The debts were sky high, and to repay them, Anastasia's parents had to work day and night, exhausting themselves.
A series of events that destroyed the family.
No sooner had I returned from the hospital than a misfortune happened to Mom.
I feel that your mother lost her arm.
Yes. She worked at a canning factory. A machine tore off her arm, and she ended up disabled.
Because of her injury, your mother couldn't earn money. Your father was the only provider.
Yes.
But he was gone a few years later.
Yes.
Did he choke?
Yes. He suffered from seizures. I was 12 when Dad died.
The man had been epileptic since he was a little boy, but the attacks were rare, as he cared for his health and did everything to prevent them. But the powerful stress provoked them again. Her father's death remains Anastasia's sore point to date.
I was his favorite daughter. It's very hard.
I see a young man next to you. You and him are related. He must be your brother.
Yes.
His support helped you live through the nightmare your family had to deal with.
Of course. He gave me the sense of consolation as the brother.
And then I felt somebody's touch. I see a man. He's fair-haired, blonde, and his eyes are gray and blue. He says, Nastona. Nastona.
Dad used to call me so. It could only be him.
What was your father's name?
Serhi.
He can't go to heaven. His soul is restless.
What's the reason for that?
To find it out, the psychics decided to carry out a ritual to let the father's spirit talk to his daughter. Anastasia, if you want to speak to your father, you only have a few minutes.
I love him a lot, and I have always loved him. I miss him so much. Please be a guardian angel for me and my children, for all my family.
He's saying something. It's like an echo. He says, my son. The cross. What is he trying to tell me?
What cross could it mean? What does Anastasia's brother have to do with it? And who was the woman that bound the spirit to the family? And why did she do it?
Is it possible that it happened because of me?
Do you mean the spirit that haunting your family?
Yes.
What makes you think so?
My brother and I took a cross from a grave as kids.
Why did you do it?
We wanted to sell it for scrap.
Anastasia says it happened after her father's death.
We were broke and had nothing to eat. We needed money.
To make ends meet, Anastasia and her brother collected glassware, waste paper, and scrap metal.
We searched metal and went to the old cemetery. There, we took a cross from one of the graves to take it to a recycling center and make some money.
How old was your brother then?
16.
Even though her brother is a year older than her, Anastasia says she's always treated him like a younger brother because since he was a child, Andrei has been very self-conscious. He didn't speak to people and didn't study well at school.
He couldn't study. He has this mental block that makes it hard for him to think. He was bullied a lot at school because of it. It started since the very beginning.
Anastasia recalls that her brother tried everything he could to make money for the family, and thus he decided to go to the old cemetery to find scrap metal there. The spirit from the grave you disturbed could have started haunting you to avenge. Do you remember where the cemetery is?
This is our old cemetery.
Iryna, this is the grave.
Yes, yes.
It's unbelievable. The vase that was on the next grave falls directly in front of Ari's.
There was nobody around. Nobody touched the vase. How did it even happen? I can't wrap my head around it.
Here. A dark woman. She's skinny. You took her cross.
Please forgive me and my brother and don't hurt my children. I sincerely regret doing it.
She says, I'm not mad. They needed money. It turned out the woman from whose grave the cross was taken wasn't haunting Anastasia's family.
I see a picture. A woman kneeling in front of a grave. She's alive, and she weeps bitterly, saying, I'll make them pay for what they did to you. I see a vision from the past. There are you, Yuri, and 2 more boys, and a woman shouts to you, you're all going to pay for it. You'll know no rest. Who was she?
The card of the witch. You infuriated a witch. What did you do to her son?
The ball hit his head and...
When Yuri was 16, he and his friends, other teenagers, were playing football not far from his neighbor's house, and the boys hit her 11-year-old son with the ball on his head.
He started crying, but we boys only laughed at that.
But it wasn't all. Yuri says that the man hit the 3rd grader's nose. It started bleeding, and the boy cried and ran home.
I saw the boy come home, holding to his head and screaming with pain. And then he fainted in front of his mother.
I recalled my vision of the woman who promised revenge, kneeling in front of the grave. So I thought it could be Yuri's neighbor, and her son died after the ball hit him. What happened to the boy you hit with the ball?
It was long ago, and to be honest, I didn't pay much attention. Later, the woman left the village.
The only thing Yuri remembers is that after the incident, the furious mother of the boy encountered him and his friends.
The next day, on our way to school, we encountered her. And then it started. She began threatening to do something that we would never forget.
Do you know that woman's name?
Iryna.
What exactly did she say?
Burn in hell. Be damned.
The woman practiced magic. She knew how to do things.
Yes.
It turned out that the locals said Iryna was really a witch, since after any conflicts with her, different misfortunes happened to people.
Everyone feared her a lot.
But does little Ilya find himself in danger because of the woman who cursed his father many years ago?
I see the woman say she wishes you to experience what her son has suffered, and it really happened soon afterward. You injured your head and slipped into a coma, and then your two friends died from head injuries.
Yes. She cursed the three of us. Two are already dead.
But your parents prayed to spare you, especially your mother.
Yes, she did. I was saved at the last moment.
Is it possible the neighbor bound a spirit to the three friends, and because Yuri survived, the spirit shifted its focus to his son?
Wait. I feel that the night before, the woman cursed you. She carried out a ritual with fire.
We saw her. The backyard of her house overlooked the sports complex. And so we were exercising at the sports complex and saw her dance around a fire naked. We were just kids, so we simply laughed, thinking she was a cuckoo.
No, she wasn't a cuckoo. My goodness. Here's what I saw. A naked woman in front of a fire, shouting out, "Give me power, and I'll destroy every one of these boys."
Can you show me the place where Iryna carried out the ritual?
Yes. It was her house behind this fence over there. I was in that sports complex and saw it all from behind the fence.
Olena, the woman didn't summon spirits during the ritual. The ritual was aimed at strengthening her energy.
But there was the curse, and the curse has fulfilled its purpose.
It only targeted the three of you. It contained not a single word about your families. We were wrong. Another woman bound the spirit to the family.
Who did it?
Wait. Olena, it's him again. The spirit of the boy with cuts on his arms. He says that he has no choice but to haunt your family.
I have no idea who it is.
But the boy claims you know him well. He's pointing at the bruises on his throat. They're shaped like fingers. He was strangled.
In our village, where our country house was, our neighbor's son was killed. He was strangled.
Who did it?
My brother.
Your brother?
Yes, Andrei.
He was thrown in jail. He did his time.
But why did he kill the boy?
I asked him many times, but he couldn't explain.
Anastasia says that the terrible murder happened when her brother moved in their parents' country house. Andrei was 20 by then. Being a sociopath, he couldn't find a job in the town, so he went to work at the local forestry and helped his neighbors every now and then.
This was how he made a living. Plus, I helped him.
The murdered boy's family lived next door to Andrei. His mother always pitied the young man who lived alone. She often invited him to their house and cooked lunch for him. Anastasia's brother became friends with the woman's 11-year-old son, whose name was also Andrei.
Your brother looks to be like an 11-year-old kid himself. He's so immature.
Yes.
According to Anastasia, this is precisely why her brother became so close with the boy. Nobody could think such a tragedy could happen. Little Andrei's mother was at work.
They went to watch TV at the boys' home, and it happened there. I don't know what caused it, but he strangled the boy.
The cards say there was a conflict. The little Andrei started mocking and saying something offensive. The boy called Anastasia's brother a retard. This drove the 20-year-old man mad.
This is what kids at school used to call him.
Anastasia's brother didn't understand what he did, and when he came to, he got scared and even tried to cover up the traces.
When the boy's mother found her son's body, his arms were cut, and she thought he'd committed suicide. However, the forensic investigation revealed he had been strangled.
The dead boy's spirit is haunting your home, and your son finds himself in dangerous situations because of him. The boy's spirit repeats the words he told me in my dream. I tried to stop her, but it was too late.
There was a curse from his mother. She shouted out, "As long as you live, you won't forget my son's death. May he stay with you every day."
And she told you this personally.
I met her once in the street. It was a great shock.
The death of little Andrei was a devastating blow to his mother. The woman, who used to be so cheerful and good-natured, retreated into herself and started drinking heavily.
The grieving mother's words became a curse, and it bound the boy's spirit to your family.
How do we deal with little Andrei's spirit? What do we do?
The problem wasn't only the mother's curse, but also the sin of the murder.
The sin concerns the entire family, and you can't rid yourself of it. It takes years to repent the guilt.
Because of the awful thing your brother did, there's a cross laying over your entire family. This is what your late father's spirit told us about. Yuri, you must help your wife, children, and the upcoming generations repent of the sin of the murder. This is the mission the Supreme Forces told you about. And to make sure the dead boy stops haunting your family, we will try to release his spirit to the other world and lift his mother's awful curse.
Andrei, I am so sorry that my brother took your life. I beg you, please don't touch my family. Leave us alone, please.
The boy's spirit is now free. The rest depends on you. Don't forget your mission.
Yes, I understand. Thank you so much.
If you're impressed by the story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more incredible investigations by the psychics are coming up.